Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. I guarantee you this video is not going to be about what you think it's going to be about. The ultimate betrayal. You think you know what that is until I'll get to the story. So back in 2001, I started dating my first wife, and things got serious after a while. You know, usual dating stuff. Start to meet the parents. Keep in mind, I moved out of my parents' house 1999. Not under the best of circumstances. And for that 2 years, I didn't go back home. My mom would occasionally come by to visit me at my apartment, see how I was doing. Sometimes there was a phone call. She's the one that called me on 9/11 to say that a plane had hit the building. But I had met her parents, my girlfriend's parents, and her brother and sister and all that. And then came time for her to meet my parents. So we go over to the house that I had moved out of. They were still living in it. And of course, my mom was all excited about, I get to show off the family albums and the pictures of me growing up. There's always this stupid thing about like, oh, I can't wait to show that to your future, blah, blah, blah. It's so embarrassing. Because you really want to embarrass the person you care about. I never understood this. It never made sense to me. So we're sitting in the living room, and my mom is on one end of the couch. My girlfriend's in between. I'm on the opposite end of the couch. And my mom goes through one of the books. I'm not really paying attention at this point. It's like, yes, I know these photos. Yes, I'm in them. And then she asked my stepdad to grab the next photo album. So he gets up. He pulls out the album. And then I see him grab something from on top of the shelf. And at first, my first thought was, it must have been a photo that fell out. Which, photos don't usually fall out of photo albums. It's not normally a thing. I'm like, didn't think too much of it. So he opens the book, he slides this photo in, hands it over to my mom. She starts flipping through it. And then I'm still sitting there. It's just awkward for me. Like, everybody's talking about you, but you don't really want to be there. When in reality, it's like, shouldn't they be talking to her to get to know her type thing? And then my mom turns over a page, and there's a photo sitting on top of the other photos and from the actual book, right? And my mom kind of like moves her head back, and then I hear my girlfriend gasp, And then my mom takes the photo and she like stuffs it somewhere in the couch next to her, and then proceeds to pretend that that just never happened. And it turns out my stepdad, he thought it was a good idea to take a photo of his dick and put it in this photo album for my girlfriend to see. He did this on purpose in front of everyone, including me, including my mom, who he's married to. And it wasn't a photo that was put in there for my mom. No. And this, we didn't stick around long after that. Sorry, I had an alarm going on. So yeah, the ultimate betrayal. Basically, your stepdad wants to bang your girlfriend. I mean, this is like the Cornhub stuff before Cornhub, right? Now, eventually, that girl and me, of course, got married. Needless to say, there were some awkward things at the wedding. And it became very clear with the way my parents acted just during the wedding. Like, keep in mind, my girlfriend's parents paid for the wedding, right? And then for some reason at the last minute, my parents thought they had a right to start dictating certain things they wanted for the wedding and the reception. Which was like, okay, we've had like how long now to talk about this stuff, and now you want to put your 2 cents in? So my future in-laws, they were very civil about it, but at the same time, I'm the in-between guy, right? Like, I don't agree with what they're doing. And then my future in-laws are trying to be accommodating to these people that are just, for no reason, being huge pains in the ass. Other than, like, we want to have some control on what's going on. There's one photo where there's that dollar dance, right? Where guys fork over money to dance with the bride. There's a couple of times where my stepdad, he'd like throw some money in the jar and he'd basically like boot the guy away that was currently dancing with her. And there's like one really awkward photo. I don't think I have it anymore. I think I just got rid of that shit. It was just a reminder. But yeah, so me and my ex-wife, it didn't even take a year after the wedding where it was basically like, yeah, we're just gonna have to distance ourselves from these people. And then there was that time period where after that point, I didn't see them for about 7 years. Then I turned 30. And that was when my great grandma died. On my 30th birthday, I was already in the process of going through a divorce. I had recently gone to a local event where The career I always hoped on going into, which was comic books, was basically declared dead by some of the industry professionals. It was one hell of a 30th birthday. But then I get home one day. It was like the day after I learned that my great-grandma died. Get this knock at the door, and I'm just like, I swear to God, if it's one of these assholes asking me to switch over my natural gas service, which is a thing, I open the door, my stepdad is standing there. And I'm just like, oh, good Lord. And he's telling me that, your great-grandma died, and telling me some bullshit about how my mom had 7 strokes since the last time I talked to her. Lies. Quickly learned that was a lie. And they kept trying to get me to get into his truck with him to go back to their house. Doesn't sound fucking creepy at all, does it, right? So I go back to my house. I go inside my house, I get my keys, and I said, no. Because I know what the thing is. He's gonna like trap me at their house, and I can't leave until he takes me back home. Or my mom takes me back home, which of course if she says that she's gonna take me back home, he'll say no, blah blah blah, I'll do that, and then just not take me. I know these fucking mind games. I know these controlling mind games and how they play. So I immediately was like, hey, if I'm going anywhere, I'm driving my car. And that's exactly what I did. So then, I ended up following him, go back, start discussing the funeral and stuff. It was all really awkward. And then the next weekend was the funeral. And I don't remember if this was wasn't the last time I had seen him. Wish it was. But I'm at I forget, it's not the wake, it's the, after the funeral, everybody gets together and they grab plates of food and they talk. Well, my parents' neighbors were over, which a lot of them were like state troopers and stuff. And then he keeps going on about how he spent all this money for me to go to Western and how I dropped out and how he did all this shit for me and I couldn't even finish school. And I could have been a cop with a good pay and a good job, and I'm just standing there. I'm like, you never paid for anything. Like, I never went to Western. Yes, you did. Nope. Never went to Western. It's not a thing. So the whole time I was there, it was belittling. They kept talking about how my ex-wife was such a B word. There was it just went on and on. It was completely ridiculous. So after being there, I think I was only maybe there like an hour or two. I was just like, I gotta go home. And then, because I didn't have any family anymore, my my wife was gone, and it's like with that, you know, her family, like I don't have her family support anymore, which I know they would say otherwise, but it's like, no, like you got to support your daughter regardless of like what happened between us. Like, you know, that's your family. I'm just stuck by myself. And there's more stuff that happened with my parents after that. But that was all the shit that I went through. Bringing home my first serious girlfriend. And that's what happens. And then when I bring it up now, because my mom laughs like, why won't you talk to him? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, do you remember any of this? Do you? You need to forgive and forget. No, I don't. Not at all. Nope, as far as I'm concerned, like, I won't be there when they put him in the ground. Because if there's one thing I don't want to do anymore, it's spend any more time thinking about somebody that doesn't matter than I have to. Just like I'm moving in these woods, moving forward, leave that shit behind, and live a better life. You can't live a better life when you have people like that in it. The notion that you have to allow certain people in your life because of what? Can anybody think of a reason why someone like that gets permission to be in your life when they do things like this every time you see them? Because at this point, there's very few people I want in my life anymore. And if you're not bringing something, if you're not, first of all, if you're trying to take away from what I have going on, if you're being demanding, if you're setting expectations that are unrealistic, if you're making things more miserable than enjoyable, forget it. And that should be, it's the simplest of standards, and if they can't follow that, let them go. If they keep trying to come back, put up a fence. If they can't acknowledge that, no trespassing. So, I'm sure there are those of you out there that have stories like these. Things that just boggles people's minds. Like, who thinks that they can do that? Seriously. And then just act like nothing happened. So that's about it for me. Keep on typing.